It is Saturday, February 21st, 2021. Thank you for joining me. We got a lot of news to cover. We've got people scavenging for food up in Portland, people that have lost their power, and now they're digging through the dumpsters. And they even had to call the police in. We're going to talk about that. I'll give you my input on that. And we're going to get into some broader economic analysis as well today and try to get a gauge on what we need to prepare for here in the United States. Now, a quick update. I tried to do an upload yesterday, Friday, and it took like 6 hours, and I started at like 6:30 p.m. It would have gotten finished, past the midnight hour, so I was like, okay, I'll just wait until today to put it out. So today, same thing. So I just figured maybe the file was corrupted. I'm just going to re-record this, but normally this would have came out yesterday, so thank you for staying with us here and coming back to the channel. And I know the delay wasn't my internet. I supposedly have the highest speed internet available from my cable provider here in San Diego. It's Cox Cable, and supposedly it's the business level speed of the internet. So we'll see how it goes today. Hopefully I won't be saying the same thing on Sunday as I'm saying today. Hopefully we'll get this out today on Saturday. All right, so let's talk about the economy and some news and what's happening up in Portland. Now, this economy is kept operational via never-ending debt creation and lending. And we like to call it here on this channel lending, spending, and pretending. So when people borrow money and go out and spend it, when they get stimulus checks and go out and spend it, when they get handouts and go out and spend it, it makes the economy look good. It creates jobs. It creates money velocity. And that makes the economy seem good. But when you have an economy that's based on people spending, when the spending stops or slows, you're going to see pain. And instead of allowing the pain to occur and allowing deflation to happen, which is a normal economic event, right? The market cycle, boom and bust cycles, bull markets, bear markets, rising prices, falling prices. Well, that's normal. That should naturally occur in any economy and any financial system. But what's happening now is the banks are not allowing deflation to occur. Just take a look at the housing market, and it's being done under the guise of, oh, we're helping people, right? We're going to send out stimulus checks. We're helping people. No one can get evicted. No one can get foreclosed, even though some people are. Still, people are falling through the cracks. But they do it under the guise of helping people. But in reality, in the end, it creates a bigger and bigger problem, bigger bubbles. So then once the stimulus and once the support is pulled away, then you have an even bigger disaster. All right, now it's not just the banks, it's also the people. A lot of people are just unaware of how the system works. They're willing to take on debt. They're willing to go out and outbid the next 20 people for a home by raising the bidding price for the home by 20, 30, 40, 50,000 because there's so much competition, because there's so much easy money flowing out there. We talked a few episodes ago in this housing bubble report about how you can get a loan, an FHA loan with a 520 credit score and only a 3.5% down payment. And in that report, we also talked about how the government-sponsored entities, the GSEs, are taking up a bigger and bigger chunk of the mortgage market. So they're backing basically double the mortgages that we were just a year ago. And that plus the fractional lending system, the no reserve requirement, creates lending and creates a lot of liquidity and rising prices. But you get a population now that's living paycheck to paycheck, combined with most people do not have hardly any savings or any emergency funds or emergency just preparation set aside for something bad to happen. Let's take a look at Portland. And this story is being covered even in the UK. This is out of the Daily Mail. Portland cops guard Fred Meyer dumpsters as scavengers rummage through mountains of food thrown out after the freeze. 100,000 Oregonians still have no power after the storm, the worst storm in about 40 years. Now take a look at some of these photos. These are people that do not look like homeless people that are living on the streets. These look like your average person that you might see out shopping at the mall, maybe your neighbor, rummaging through this food. Now, of course, the store, Fred Meyer, they're saying the food is spoiled, that people shouldn't be in there. The cops had to be called in. They're saying, these people are going to get sick and they don't want to be sued. They don't want to be blamed. And you also had so many people out there, they were saying it was causing a little bit of havoc. Now, there are some people out there that say you can still boil this food and it's still going to be good a few days after expiration date. Of course, the store, they're going to cover their own, you know what, in order not to get blamed for people consuming expired food. Around 14 cops descended on the Hollywood West Fred Meyer store in northeast Portland on Tuesday. They threatened to arrest a group of around 20 residents and activists that were trying to salvage what they said was wasted food. The group said they were trying to take the produce to people at emergency shelters. All right, so the people you see digging here, maybe they're not the ones that are going to eat the food. They say they're trying to get it to hand it out to people that are in need, people at these emergency shelters, people without food, maybe the more needy. Fred Meyer said the food, which included everything from lobster tails to cheese, was no longer safe to eat. Some Portland residents have been without power now for a week. We're also seeing a lot of devastation in many other parts of the country, including Texas. All right, but this is one of the things that we stress on this channel. It's not just financial preparation and investing and trying to, be ahead of the curve here. It's also storable food, storable water. Right? People's water lines are frozen. There's also big problems in parts of the country, just people getting fresh drinking water. So here in America, supposedly the richest country in the world, right? It's what we've been told. I was always taught that when I was a kid, that we're the richest country in the world. We have the highest standard of living. But as soon as something bad happens, the electricity goes out, people's food in their refrigerator gets spoiled, and maybe it is cold enough to keep the food fresh. But it doesn't stop the fact that we see a lot of people are in desperate need right now for food. And we have to have the cops called out because there's so many people digging through a dumpster, right? Did we ever think that we would see this type of thing happen in the United States? Well, yeah, a lot of us here, we prepared for this and we knew this was going to happen. Why? Because most people are not self-sufficient. Most people are dependent on payouts. Most people are dependent on other people getting their food for them, aka going to the grocery store where people have put food out on shelves that has been shipped in, driven by truck drivers, that has been picked up from factories and in some cases farms. So you have this whole chain of custody, this whole process, and there may be some parts of the country that are safer than others. The cold and the snowstorms that we see in the winter here in the United States, it's one of the reasons why I've chosen to remain here in California. We don't have to worry about the heat, right? Right now I don't have my heat on. It's February and we're fine. We might use a blanket every now and then. Maybe turn the heat on every once in a while, but it's not something we're going to have to suffer. We won't freeze to death, if the heat doesn't come on for whatever reason. And yeah, I know we have a lot of other problems here. We have the fires, the earthquakes. We're seeing a lot more mental ill people here in my area, in San Diego, and Southern California in general. A lot more homeless people. And we're seeing rising crime. We reported on that a few times as well. So you just have to be really, really careful. Try to stay as prepared as possible. And I wish I had better news for you, but it looks like things are going to continue to get worse. We still have millions of people without power right now. And in a system where you're dependent on the grid, when you're dependent on payouts, when you're dependent on the good deeds of others, well, you're going to see big problems. And what's coming ahead of us in this country, I think is going to be very, very shocking to a lot of people. And again, for those that don't know, the United States citizenry, we are one of the most unprepared populations in the entire world. A lot of people here, most people are used to living way beyond our means, with endless debt that allows all these programs and all this support to keep people, keep people fed, keep people housed. But when the support gets pulled back and when something happens like what we're seeing today, it's big problems and a lot of danger. People dependent on payouts are likely going to find themselves in some desperate and dire situations. Here's a story here out of ABC 10. California man homeless after months of waiting on his unemployment benefits. He's finally paid, but it's too late now because he is homeless. All right, so hopefully they pay him enough to get a lease on a different residence. Otherwise, it's going to be someone else that sadly we might see sleeping under the bridge. This could happen to any of us, right? There's so many people dependent on payouts. When the system fails us, any one of us, I think, could be left out in the cold, so to speak. And if you're doing well today, you are blessed, and try to stay ahead of the curve, because things could change in a flash, right? A lot of people think that are dependent on food being dug out of the dumpster probably never thought they would be in this position today. But here we are with what's happening up in Portland. So everybody stay well, stay safe, stay prepared. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for supporting this channel. Please subscribe. Come back for more news, because there's going to be a lot of things happening here that we're going to need to keep an eye on. Hope you're doing well. Bye for now, everybody. Peace.